What do you know, everybody? I think that one worked. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. I am not picking on Lori Sue, by the way. She says, I don't think that the vermin is worth conversation, candidly. I respect your opinion. CK says, I'm not interested in Danny Masterson, but he deserves all the condemnation he gets. And I appreciate that sentiment as well. There are a lot of people that think that this should just we should stop talking about this, and I respect your opinion. I really do, which is why I'm here, and it's why I'm putting it out. It's your boat as much as it is mine. I'm going to tell you now why I have not let this die. I spent a good chunk of my life as a criminal. Because of that, I have been sentenced more times than I want to admit. Spent a lot of time in courtrooms. I've seen friends sentenced. I've been to a ton of court proceedings. I was married to an attorney. I have never in my entire life seen somebody go to sentencing wearing a suit. It's not done. See, you're already a convict, right? You're not a citizen anymore. You don't get to put that suit on. You come shuffling in wearing orange like everybody else does. But he didn't. And I promise you, sitting in that court that day, I had to listen to the warriors who went in there and said, I'm going to tell my story. And they got up and confronted him and told their stories. And it was so friggin' powerful. And as I sat there watching him sit in a suit, I thought to myself, this ain't right. And when we got out there into the hallway and I started talking to Aaron, and they were livid. The Jane Does were livid. Everyone was talking about how they were able to persuade the powers that be to allow him to suit up in a suit so that he wouldn't look like a convict for his family, because it was the last time they were going to see him. And you know what? That's BS, man. Didn't happen to me. They didn't care about my family, right? They didn't care about anybody else's family. So what I thought that day sitting there was, if we do not ride them at every single mother scratch and turn, then they're going to treat this dude differently than they treat other people. And he doesn't deserve to be treated like a special inmate. He doesn't even deserve to get treated like a normal inmate. He's a nonce. This is a dude with really bad paperwork, man. This is a dude who took pleasure in hurting women, right? That was his get off. That was his get down. And I have been privy to information in this, in his trial that hasn't come out yet. Maybe someday it will. But I don't have any pity for this cat. I don't. And I know that there are people who bum out about that, and they say, you got to feel for the daughter. I do. I absolutely have to feel for his daughter. I don't. I would never dox her out or talk about or show a picture of her, do any of that. Fortunately, he has signed over the rights to his stuff to his daughter, and he's not going to be in that child's life, and that may be the greatest thing that could ever happen to her, because he was a sick SOB. I assure you, the story is worse than you know. It is not my place to ever out anybody's story or anything else, but let me explain to you that it was not run of the mill. It was horrific, and it was violent. Visits to the hospital for all people involved. The brutality. So no, I'm not leaving this piece of crap alone. I'm not. If I do, so will everybody else. Right? We'll all just start falling off. You know what? Our views drop a little bit on them, so we're not going to do it. And I'll tell you something else. My job is a content creator, right? I want to help people get sober. I do. And if somebody comes here and says, hey, I'm hurting, we stop and we do what we do, right? You've seen that 100 times. I'll shut a show down for any reason if somebody needs it. So it's not we're in deep danger. You guys can come here and still talk to people here and say, hey, you know what? I'm feeling hurting. Can you work with me? This is how I'm feeling. The comment section never. But you know what? I'm going to keep beating the drum on this because I have a platform. It's not a huge one. It's not. But when I put his name into a video, I get about 7 or 8 times more views than I normally do. So for those of you that are sick of hearing it, the vast majority aren't, because the vast majority watches this more than anything else I put up. If you're a crew in long standing here on the lifeboat, when's the last time you saw 185 people on a morning lifeboat? 185. You understand that people come and they listen and they about, Danny or whatever it is we're talking about that is outside the purview, right? You understand the concept of concentric circles, right? If I go in and I talk to people who knit for a living, and one of their knitters ended up doing something rank and is going to prison, and they call me in, right? I go in and I do my thing. There's a certain percent of people who knit and go to channels for that who are going to see me and go, that dude's interesting. Usually works out to be at about 1%. That 1% is going to come over and check out the lifeboat, right? They may hit subscribe. About 1% normally hit subscribe. And out of that, about 30% will actually watch something. But that's the business model. Now, normally when I'm done shooting the video, I come back, some people come with me, and I'm out of that arena. I don't ever go back. Scientology is different. The ex-Scientology fight, I'm all over. I'm all over. I watched an organization with billions of dollars try to hide somebody that did that particular kind of assault for years, and they covered it up. They didn't just cover it up. That's bad, horrendous, but they didn't cover it up. What they did was they gave him a whole group of people to choose from whom he could go in there and assault with impunity. Nothing to worry about. Just go in, pick him, drug him, and do what he wants. Use his money and the fact that he's in a cult, so they're not going to a real, police department. And I don't know what would happen if a regular person went and did that. But within that cult, with somebody with his kind of power and celebrity, he could do whatever he wanted. They created an environment that allowed him to flourish as a predator. Thanks, CK. I appreciate your patience with me. And I promise you, people, this is not every day. But I'm telling you, if we don't pipe up when things like this happen, let me try to explain to you what would happen if it were me. You understand? The difference in treatment between him and his crime is heinous. But the difference between how he got treated and how I get treated, or any of my friends get treated, we're talking about night and day, people. I've told you the story about how the helicopters came in 6 different agencies to arrest me. The last thing I said to them, sitting in an interview room with 2 FBI agents and a local cop, I said, you people are lost, man. But if you really think I'm your guy and you're going to arrest me, I've come down. They've called me for an interview. I've come down 4 times. I'm obviously not looking to get out of Dodge, right? So you want me to come and turn myself in? You got an arrest warrant, then call me. Hey, Lori, thank you so much for your opinion. Right? Thank you so much for your opinion. Everybody read that? Lori is not interested in giving this ass time or energy. One can pipe up about better, more useful content. And we'll just let this dude get away with whatever the hell they let him get away with. We'll let him run wild. We'll not hold the feet to the fire of the people that made this happen. He's just a puppet. He was the dude that went in there and got to enjoy himself because he's a sick bastard, and that's the kind of stuff that gets his rocks off. But it was the Church of Scientology that let it happen. They built a playground for this dude and let him do whatever he wants. So I'm going to keep piping up, Lori. And with all due respect, if it isn't for you, you know what? It's so easy. You just walk away, right? You're not supposed to be here, hon. You're not. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I got 1,350 hours of content here. About 6 of them are on this guy. So if you can wait through it, that would be great. If you can't, I respect you and I totally get it. But you know something? We have been a culture for so damn long that New Jersey Scientology was doing crap like this. You drive by the building and you do this one, and everybody says that. I talked to people while I was out at the last protest who said they've been living in Los Angeles their entire life, and every time they walk by that building, it gives them the creeps, but they just keep walking by, right? Why? Because piping up's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. And these people will come after you, right? I've already told you that there's been some rank stuff these people have done to me already. I'm not popular with them, but I'm going to keep piping up. I sure as hell am. So I'm sorry. And it definitely is my channel. And there's a lot better stuff we can talk about. And if there were 60 people out there beating the drum on this, I'd probably just go back to doing what I do because I prefer it to this. I do. Caleb, good to see you. Absolutely love it when me and Johnny are on videos together. Oh, that's a kind thing to say. We'll probably be doing more of them here in the near future. We've got that we're going to be doing together anyway. So I'm a pretty big fan of Lori T. We all need to stand up against BS, right? And, this is an odd thing that has happened to me, right? I assure you, this was not where I thought I would be at this juncture of my time on this planet. But I do have a platform. I have an ability to come out here and talk and have 3,000 or 4,000 people hear it. And you know something? Every single person that we can get to hear what this place does, because the average response from people, no joke, is they go, come on, man. Come on, man. They're not doing that. That's ridiculous. Like, I know they're weird and whatever. And Tom Cruise is, he's strange and he jumps on couches screaming about Katie Holmes. But, right? It is. It is. The subject of Danny encompasses so much: celebrity, privilege, women who stood up for themselves and for each other, cults, money, power, privilege, and let's not forget trauma. The second gens and the people that went through this, I'm not even talking about the ones who were assaulted. The ones who were assaulted, forget about it. The rest of their life, I've talked to them. This is going to be luggage forever. Once again, this is something that you learn to live with. It's not something that you get over, right? They're not going to get over this. And for them, if no other reason, man, I'm going to do it. I'll lose some subs. That's all good. It's all good, right? For bad stuff to happen, good people just need to shut up. I ain't shutting up. So if I lose some subs, I'm sorry, man. I hope you're big picture people, because these people are no different than us. You understand? They're no different. They had to break out of something that keeps sucking them back. And for them, it's that every single thing they know, every person they know, the language they speak, all of that says, don't leave, don't leave. You leave, you'll have nobody. You won't even know where you're going. You're going into this world that speaks a different language, believes different things, has their own police department, right? The world is completely foreign if you are someone who was born into that cult. And how different is that from us trying to get away from ours? Seriously. We're gonna give up the one thing that we understand. For them, it's a needle floating. For us, it's a needle going in our arm, or booze going to the back of our throat. But come on, people, we are all in the same boat. If you don't see that, you're not really concentrating, right? Or you're brand new and you haven't watched some of the other stuff that we've done. But come on, man, these are our people. Chrissy Newton, that's a beautiful thing to say. I'm not going to put it up there because it's just too beautiful. I don't want everybody reading it, but that's such a kind thing to say. I appreciate that. I honestly do. I was not this person. You understand? I didn't go out there for this. You're right, Bill G. You're absolutely right. And I didn't sign up for this. I promise you I didn't. I went there just to be an expert, right? I was an expert on what it is to be on the inside of a prison. And then I met these people, and that was just one of those things that happened. When I met the Jane Does and I went out there and was at the sentencing, it changed my life. I promise you that I'm never going to be the same. Sorry. I'm not leaving this. I'm not leaving it. I'm not until I'm sure that this dude ain't getting out. The appeals are exhausted and all of that. When I come here and I do the show and I go, guess what? No more appeals. This cat has got no shot at ever getting out. Justice is served. There'll be no more talking about him unless he unalives himself or something like that. And then there'll be one more and we're done. I promise. Ben Turner says, this latest crap he did, as someone who competes in firearms, there is no way he should be allowed to get away with this latest crap, to say nothing about the S and the A. Yeah. And Ben, as somebody who competes in firearms, was the list impressive to you? The list of stuff that is missing? I mean, these are choppers, people. These are designed to put so much lead in the air in a short period of time. This is what it sounds like in war. I promise you. Go look up some of this stuff. In my last video, I read out every one of them, right? The morning video, I read out each one. Just go Google one at a time and pull up the pictures of them with barrels this big, right? You understand, normally a magazine looks like this, but wider, and you put the cartridges in there, and then you slam that up into the receiver, and that's the idea, right? Well, this thing's got two big barrels this big that has ammunition going around in circles on it. And the stuff that he had is what NATO fires. You understand? This is a concept, right? This is what they're shooting at each other in WAR. Yeah, he needs that. And a half a dozen or more. And I promise you, people, he didn't turn those in because he had them made fully auto. LeBron, good to see you, my man. Always a pleasure. Snotface, thank you very much. Snotface says, as a Scientology watcher, I enjoy this content. It's a nice escape from my own problems to realize that there are bigger issues going on. And you know what? All of us who are on this channel that have never been in Scientology, that have nothing to do with it, have got a damn dose of it, haven't you? Seriously. Number one, you would never walk into one and say, hey, can I take your personality test, right? But number two, maybe we don't look down our noses at people. If someone says, I'm a former Scientology, you don't look at them like, you know, how stupid was this dude? They fell for a cult. How stupid am I? Right? I robbed banks to get dope to put in my arm so I could lie to my family and go get incarcerated and spend 10% of my life locked up. How stupid am I? These people just joined an organization because they thought that they had a way to get through this thing called life without dope or anything else. Sounds like a great pitch. I understand how people end up in cults. You know, when people go, man, that could never happen to me. I guarantee it could happen to me. I guarantee it could. I mean, not now, not at this juncture of my life, but there were times it could have. If they had found me at the peak of my addiction and said, we're going to take you to Narconon and I can make it so that this stuff is going to be out of your life. If they got me sober, I'd be holding cans right now, people. I would. I don't think you know how bad I wanted to be sober. Wow. Lynn Rich Bailey. If this conversation empowers one person to speak up about assault of that variety and highlights the cruel cult of the Church of Scientology, then I'll listen to every video about him. That is a really awesome comment. Thank you so much. I'll be really honest, people. This isn't the one I want to do. This isn't what I want to do. You know, I had a damn good show prepared for today. Both of them. I had shows ready for this morning and this afternoon. We were going to continue with loss in the morning, and tonight we were going to talk about the stages of relapse. But then you find out this guy's going to court, and you find out that he's missing that kind of stuff. Do you know what that would do to me, people? That's the end. That would have been the end of my life. They would have tacked on. I mean, if they tacked on 5 years ago, which I promise you, anybody else in the world, especially if these babies are converted. Let me explain something to you people. In 1995, they had an assault weapons ban. The assault weapons ban was repealed because it didn't have the effect that they hoped it was going to have. And by that, I mean, it didn't slow down any of the stuff they were hoping it was going to slow down. Quite simply, it didn't do anything. So it got overturned or whatever. Period of time in between there where the barrels that are on those guns, right, could never take like a sound end of them, a silencer. They were all built a certain way. My understanding is what he has here, these are all pre-95. So he was buying guns that were made before that embargo, which means he could also put a sound suppressor on the end of it. Also not legal in very many states. All right. If they are, you got to get a bunch of paperwork. You got to hop through hoops. Apparently the state I'm in here doesn't care. You can silence your weapons, but the rest of the world doesn't allow that stuff. Interesting. Converted with a paper clip to fully auto, 5 years per gun and a year a bullet. Thank you, Russ. I was under I remember the year a bullet. So if you got a fully automatic, like the one I was describing, it's got a magazine on one side in the shape of a barrel, like the old Tommy guns. One on the other side, also shaped in a barrel. They got 50 rounds in each. There's 100 years plus 5 for modifying the weapon. They're not going to be chasing this dude down the way they do me. And for that, I should be screaming. For real. Anytime somebody gets treated differently than anybody else, someone needs to be yelling. And I got a platform. And you know what? When I talk about this low life, a bunch of people show up to listen. I'd be pretty damn stupid not to do it. And you know what? I would be more than happy just for laughs. Thank you, PTS John. She says, been watching since Ron first had you on his channel. I appreciate that you do, Danny Masterson. I don't think the mainstream is talking about him So someone has to. I agree with you. I agree with you. And this little dude, this little YouTuber with a channel at the time of about 6,000 people was the first person to run out of that courtroom and start broadcasting. Social media has changed the world. I mean, right now, whether you like it or not, if you type in Danny Masterson into YouTube, you're probably going to see my picture pop up real quick, because some of the biggest stuff that Aaron did is stuff that he did with me. We got one that's like 300 and some odd thousand views or something. So I'm going to be associated with this in one way or the other, because of the trial, because of everything else, because I went to the protest, because I know the Jane Does, because I've gotten intimately involved in this, and I'm not going to stop. So I hope you guys can live with it, because it's a damn good fight. It's a righteous fight. Can't get behind a righteous fight, man. I get it. There's other sobriety channels that probably aren't doing what I'm doing. But to me, man, this is a righteous fight, and it's worth whatever it costs. I have grown attached to the second gens. Now I consider some of them really close friends. And you know what? If I'm your close friend, I don't know, maybe it means different to me than it does to other people, but if I'm your close friend, I'm not going to sit by and watch injustice happen, right? Especially if it's been happening to you your whole life. It's just rotten and wrong. You are our captain. I trust you to steer our boat. You know what, Seventh? That's the funniest of the jokes you've said in a long time. No, I'm kidding. I really appreciate you, man. I really do. Seventh has been here since the 31st of July 2021 was the day that we launched the boat. At the time we didn't know it was a boat, but we launched it anyway. Snotface, thank you so much. I hope you're having a good day, hon. I really do. May, the fact that they monetize and fund LAPD is also not surprising, and it's scary. Thank you. I want to tell you something. I got the worst feeling about the LAPD at the riots. I mean, at the riots, I've been in prison too long. At the protest, the number of LAPD that showed up, the way all of that went down is really just, it smelled bad. The people that filmed it all said the same thing. It just stunk. It didn't smell right. You know, like they definitely had chosen sides before they got there. And that is something that makes me feel uncomfortable. It makes me feel like, you know what, man, I need to start yelling. I feel like I need to start yelling, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to keep doing it. Makes sense to me. Thank you very much, Andrew V. Thank you very much. You guys see that? Keep on talking about Masterson and the COS. That's the Church of Scientology. Church. The things this church, air quotes, has condoned, supported, defended, and hid to make celebrity look good on the outside make me sick, knowing they've happened. Absolutely. And I'll tell you something, people, there are stories that you can't imagine. I could tell you stories that when I hear, I sit there and go, there's no way this is real. But I've stuck around long enough to know that these people aren't playing. And the ones that, you know, when we first started doing this, people would say to me, you know how paranoid these people are? No, these people are being followed. Not all of them, not every day. But I'm telling you, I've seen stuff. I've seen stuff that there's no way to debate what happened. And this is a bad organization. Question, is this going to add to his jail time? I appreciate you, Tommy. Thank you. I'll be really honest with you. There's no way to tell, right? There's no way to tell. It really depends on where these things have auto life with a machine gun, right, man? Machine guns are no joke. If these things end up to be having been converted and they find those, yeah, there could be some issues. There really could. If he transferred these things into the hands of other people without filing the correct paperwork, I would have to know the laws in California, but there are states that do not take that lightly, right? If there's a gun law loophole in the state of California, then you just can't be passing guns off or selling guns. You have to go to a licensed firearm broker. He handles the sale between the two people. There are laws that govern all of this stuff. So it would be interesting. He has a chance of picking up time. That is a possibility. Nat B from Canada says he's buying time because he knows the second his feet cross the prison yard, his life will really change and he will never feel safe again, as it should be. I want to tell you something. I had this conversation with somebody today, and they said to me, yeah, he's that slick or this or that. Let me explain something to you people. Lawyers are slick. I could tell you a lawyer story. I'll keep it for one of our 24 hours if we ever do another one. But look, man, I know lawyers. I know lawyers, and I've seen some unbelievable things done that would get any lawyer in the world disbarred, and I've watched them do it over and over again. I knew a lawyer who worked with a bunch of people that I knew from in town, right? I'm sorry, I read and it got me, and it because I love you, Moni 69, I really do. And this is a great comment. It really is. It's a great comment. But I do think that there's a chance that he's buying time, and I think it's probably his lawyer that got it set up. I think that, some lawyers really understand how to play the system, and they may be dragging their feet as much as they can and trying to protect him, because I agree with you. I agree with you. Right now, he's locked down. He's about to go to a really different world. And as Russ said, it's not going to be instant. He's got to go through the intake process. He's going to be in the fish tank, and that's going to be very separate. And they're going to do all their evaluations. But I'll tell you what, he ain't going to Club Fed. This dude ain't going into the Hilton. It's not going to be Tom Bodette leaving the light on for him. He's going to a very, very serious situation. And I think it's pretty legit, Nappy. I think that there's an excellent chance they're trying to drag their feet. And I don't blame him if I were him. I love this comment. I love it so much it took me off my game. Thank you, by the way. Thank you so much. We must talk about SA. This is a disease that's always been hidden. We need to shout about this sick crime. Due to it's no longer shameful for survivors, right? Yeah, it is. Thank you. It says, I love your work, Tommy. Thank you. You know what? Damn right. I mean, what these people do is heroic. And if there's a paradigm shift and the world starts treating people instead of as victims, we start treating them like warriors and like heroes who come forward. Two of the Jane Does I've gotten to know well, and they're freaking warriors. Again, I will never tell their story or any part of it. It's not my place. But if you knew the whole story, the significance of where they were standing right in front of the Celebrity Center, to the crime and to everything else, it would be like Bill Buckner walking back into Fenway, right? For those who get the sports reference, it had to be a very difficult thing for those two warriors to show up there the way they did, and they did. And I was talking to one of them in particular. We can call Jane Doe 1, and I just said, I have so much respect for you coming out here and doing this. It's got to be so hard. And she said, do you know why I'm here? And I said, no. And she said, because I'm not the only victim of this. Everybody here is a victim. And I don't want to forget all of these people. They've all been victimized by this church. They're all survivors. They're all warriors. And I want to be out here standing with them. And I'll tell you, I'd like to believe I'm made of that. I don't think I am in the same situation. I don't know that I would be able to do what they do. I have nothing but respect for them. I was proud as hell to stand between the two of them in hopes of hitting anybody that said something stupid. I'll be really honest. That's kind of what I was hoping for. But just warriors, absolute warriors that refuse to be victims. The assault weapons ban was done in 85. And then when it expired, it got reinstated by Bill Clinton. Maybe you're right. I had that number wrong. If that's the case, I apologize. Putri says, yeah, you don't have to talk about him forever, Tommy. Danny's life is over. His ass will be able to fit in an 18-wheeler before long. Just let it go, Tommy. Tell you what, Putri, I agree. I'd love to. I would love to. And once I believe that he's in there and he's tucked up nicely and he's not getting any kind of special treatment, and our looking away will not make it easier for them to pad this guy's life and make it easier on him, right? Tell you a quick story. I went to Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, right? The prison up there. It was a special management unit. So when I was there, there was no walking around having fun or doing anything like that. So I was in a lockdown unit, but there was a very tall cop who worked there, and he said this used to be the mafia floor, J Block, second floor at Lewisburg, like in the movie Goodfellas, when they're talking about all of them going up and they're cooking and all that. That was J Block, second floor. Used to have wooden doors instead of cell doors, and the mobsters could walk around 24/7 and do whatever they want. Does that sound right? The rest of the prison couldn't, but the mobsters could in prison. Their wives are bringing them in food. All that was real. That was happening. And he said, when you looked out into the parking lot, every single person that worked there was driving a Cadillac, because the mob was just buying caddies for every single guard there. And the guards would let these guys do whatever they want and live any way they want. You know why it happened? Because there wasn't people like me, and there wasn't things like this. There was no social media to go, are you whooping me? Do you know how these people are living in there? This isn't a punishment. Their wives are smuggling in massive amounts of dope. They're selling to the poor rest of the inmate population. These guys go into prison to make more money in there than they were making on the street. It took people standing up and saying, I'm gonna talk about this to get it to stop. I'm tired of it, man. I really am. I'm tired of it. The guy's a lowlife. I would like him to just go and get tucked up into his new home. And I would like to very much stop talking about it. Right? But it would be until then, I feel like I literally am holding the feet to the fire of all of the people that allowed this guy to wear a suit to sentencing. I thought Judge Almeida was a stud. Seriously, that's a tough woman. I was super impressed with how she handled everything. How in hell did she let him wear a suit in there? It just goes to show you that the tentacles of that organization, they've got, even if they don't have somebody dirty, they got somebody that's going to bend the rule just a little bit, right? And if people aren't looking, that bend gets bigger. If we're not calling it out, that bend gets bigger. You got to come out and say stuff like, where the hell are these weapons? Because if it was anybody else, this would be a big deal. Is this guy going to get charged? If he isn't, why not? You understand? For evil to flourish, good men and women need to just shut up and do nothing. You want me to shut up and do nothing? You found the wrong guy. That's what I did for the first 46 years of my life. I didn't just shut up and did nothing. I contributed to the other side of the ball club, right? I got a lot to make up for, people. And you know something? I met these people. I'm screwed from that point on, right? That's really how it goes. I'm screwed from that point on. I met the Jane Does. I met more than two, but I really bonded with a couple of them and their husbands. This is just a great group of people, man. One of the Jane Does in particular, and her husband, her husband's just so damn cool, man. Both of them, actually. It's just a great group of people. And yeah, I'm not shutting up. I'm sorry. On the bright side, news does not come out about it every day, right? Thank you, Dixie 504. I appreciate that, man. I really do. And I have found that, I really have. But it's really funny because I talked about this earlier, right? I talked about how people give us a different look, right? When they find out that you're a convict, especially if it's something heavy, like, they do the assume you're in for a DWI. Did you get caught driving drunk? No, I got caught robbing a bunch of banks, right? Normally there's a big change. And shortly after having this conversation with somebody, I actually found myself in the exact same situation that I was describing. And when this person had the opportunity to meet me, you could see it. Anybody would have seen it. It wouldn't have just been me. Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Becky. Becky says, never quit talking about this scumbag or his celebrity friends, especially Aston and Mila, Hollywood, and the rich. It's a double standard. DM takes want a video. Never stop. You're doing great. Thank you, Becky. I appreciate it. And you know what? Like I said, people, it ain't going to be every day, right? It isn't going to be every day. This does not come up all that often. Yeah. I have heard it said that it is a prison of belief and thought. It couldn't be more correct. It's true. And I've said this. I have learned more since getting sober that I meet people all of the time who are absolutely incarcerated in a cell of their own making. And it's tragic. It really is. It's tragic. But I used to, it was one of those things I used to keep because, again, I'm not the brightest bulb, people. I'm a good talker, but I'm not the brightest bulb. And I thought to myself, you can't help people like me. I can't be helped. And then I met Q. And here I am, and I am of the firm belief that there's nobody that can't be helped, right? I believe that. I might not be able to do it. The next person might not be able to do it, but there's a person out there that they're going to meet, and that person is going to say the right thing at the right time, and it's just going to fall into place. Zelda says, Tommy, your interview with Esoteric Atlanta was really good. Really liked her, and I subscribed. Good. If you have not subscribed over to Esoteric Atlanta, I would recommend that you do. Her content is just really good stuff. I enjoy it anyway. I really do. Bryce is awesome. She does a really good interview, and she's just a lot of fun. You know, has the same kind of attitude that we do. She's really trying to leave the earth a better place than she found it. And big devotee of yoga. I like her. I really do. I'm looking forward to meeting her and her husband. Yes. Russ says, Nat B, there's new updates on my Boy Scout case. You would be interested. Puts me in a real awkward spot. Also, there is trying to think of how to word this. There's a story I want to tell with us. So we're gonna do Night Yard tomorrow night after the normal show. So after the 5 to 6, we're gonna take a 5-minute retool, and then we're going straight back on, and it's going to be myself and my man Rusty, California convict, and got a story and a update, and definitely make sure you don't miss this one, people. It's going to be a good one. I promise you, it's going to be a good one. Ben Turner, I'm sorry, but this is actually kind of funny. Sad, but funny. Saw a tweet today, something like Saturn has the second biggest ring in the solar system. Hollywood's you-know-what assault ring is number 1. And I think that there's some truth to that. And I think that for the first time in a long time, the Church of Scientology is taking a hit. There are a lot of open lawsuits. There's a lot of things going on. And this internet, this SPTV movement, this social media platform of keeping the light on these people, there can't be enough people doing what we're doing. There can't be. And when it gets to Danny and it gets to what he's getting away with on the convict side of it, how many people are spotting that? You know, sadly, I'm uniquely qualified to spot. Interesting. Lynrich Bailey said the difference between the LAPD and the English police at their protest led by Apostate Alex was incredibly stark. The latter were helpful and respectful toward the protesters. Well, that's not the way it was in LA, at least not where I was. So, yeah, interesting. I don't trust the LAPD. I don't. I'm sorry. Bach Buddy's got a question. Do the lawyers face any consequence for misleading firearms paperwork filed, or is it all on Danny? Here's the deal. Danny's not going to be in trouble for how the stuff was mishandled. Probably going to be something that is going to fall to the attorneys. It may come to Danny, but I really doubt that that's going to be the case. Somebody's going to get yelled at anyway, right? Because this was kind of fudged in a way, right? They actually admitted that they turned over only X number of guns and it was not caught, right? Nobody caught the fact that there was a bunch of them out there missing. And I think that's probably a problem. And I think the lawyers will get chastised. I don't think they're going to get censured. I don't think anything's going to happen. It very rarely does. But if they get a hold of these puppies and they go hurrah, instead of pop, 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 then that could get real interesting. It could get real interesting. I mean, there are a list of choppers on this thing, right? Fully got weapons that can easily be turned fully auto. He's got a Hungarian-made AK-47, a Springfield Armory SAR 4800 semi-automatic rifle, a Robinson's Armament M96 semi-automatic rifle, an Imbel 308 rifle, fascinating to look at, Knight's Armament SR-15 automatic rifle and our semi-automatic rifle, and a Colt AR-15 Sporter semi-automatic rifle. So this dude had a collection of choppers. I mean, these are no joke, right? These are serious weapons. If these things turned out to have been converted to fully auto, or they happen to have a silencer screwed onto the end of them, or any such thing, then yeah, it could come back on him. So we will see. I'm sorry, Dixie. Dixie 504 says, I have uncles and cousins in a cult that also uses disconnection. It broke my grandmother's heart. A lot of cults, if not all of them, use disconnection. It is the ace in the hole. If you let people get with family, family goes, what the hell are you doing? Right? It's the voice of reason. You've got to keep cult members who are in the process of still being indoctrinated, brainwashed, whatever you want to call it. You got to keep them away from the voice of reason for as long as possible. So the disconnection thing in Scientology, it's a little different, I think, than most, in that if you get declared a suppressive person, it's not just that they need to stay away from you. You are what cause all problems on planet Earth. Getting near an SP can cause, your life to go to hell in a handbasket. You can't be near them. It's dangerous. So they're very serious about the disconnections. It's why you see parents walk away from kids, which is just astounding to me. Oh, how cool. I had a therapy appointment this morning and I talked to her about the morning show and the mind prison relation. Today has been so very insightful. Wow, I'm honored, man. That's so cool. That really is. That is so cool. That crazy organization that ruins people's lives has to go. It's not just about Danny. I agree with you 100%. But you know what Danny is? Danny is a chip in the dam, right? And that little squirt of water is starting to come out through that chip. And we need chips in a few more places, and the structural integrity is going to go. And I'll tell you something. With every subsequent 3 or 4 years that go by, a lot more people get old enough to be fascinated by this. Come on, people. This is a fascinating subject matter. It's why Aaron does the views that he does. It's why he can put up 20 videos in a day, and every single one of them are going to get thousands and thousands of views. It is a fascinating subject matter. Why? Because we've been allowing this evil to exist feet away from us for how long? It's fascinating because we all know that we got a little bit of blood on our hands. Everybody. Anyone who ever snickered about it or made a joke about it. I knew through the guy Emmett that Aaron and I, our mutual friend, I knew through him 25 or 30 years ago that second gens weren't going to school. I knew it was wrong 2.5 decades ago. I was a public speaker in good standing, right? I could have used my voice to do something then. I didn't. Why? Because it's not fun to talk about. It's not fun to talk about. It's uncomfortable. Puts me in a bad position. And the people that I am talking to are religious zealots. They're going to be pissed at me, right? It's going to bring all kinds of trouble. This is just not worth doing, right? I didn't do it the last time. What's different? Oh, well, this time I done screwed up and got personally involved. This time I had an opportunity to meet Aaron. Instead of just being a consultant that talked about prison, I got an opportunity to go eat a few meals with the guy and hang out and go bowling and laugh our butts off. And I bonded with him, and I bonded with a bunch of other second generation Scientologists. And I've really become close with a lot of them. And you know, most people I've ever met. They're some of the least judgmental people I've ever met. And through everything that they've been through, they all seem to be able to maintain a excellent attitude, truthfully. Chrissy Newton. Great comment, Chrissy. Chrissy says, not sure if it's time to look away. I'm going to throw in just yet. He hasn't even gotten the mugshot. He hasn't even dealt with anything yet. It makes me a bit upset at a human that would that works every day to put good in the world. Well, thank you. This just needs to be. We got to just make sure that this finishes up how it's supposed to, right? There are some really crazy things that happen in this world because people look in the wrong damn direction. We're not going to let that happen here on the boat. Don't trip. It ain't the Danny Masterson show, right? I have no intention of turning this into the Danny Masterson show. I have no intention of turning this into the anti-Scientology show. We're the lifeboat. We are. But you know what? These people need freedom, like everybody else that shows up in the boat. That 24-hour stunt I did with my brother, we called 24 hours to freedom for a reason, because it's not just drugs, right? We all need to get free. $10,000 per gun per year. Wow. Thank you, Susie. Thank you. Todd says, that's why if you own one before 85, you can own it without a permit. So like grandfathered. After 85, you must have a permit on a fully automatic, and it will cost you $10K per gun per year. Wow. Wow. So like I said, they take the fully auto thing very, very seriously. And to alter a gun is a big deal in the feds, especially like if you happen to be a felon or whatever. But if you alter a gun, you cut the barrel too short, you modify the trigger, you do any of those things that you're not supposed to do, they get very dicey about it. I agree with you. I agree with you. Unfortunately, Danny isn't the only one destroying people. He's gotten away with this for decades with protection from a cult. On to the next, and believe me, there are many hiding in plain sight. You're absolutely right. And if we learned anything through the Me Too movement, it's that, a guy like from Miramax Films, what was his name? Harvey Weinstein, right? Everybody knew. Everybody knew what was going on with Harvey Weinstein. That was not a shock to anybody in Hollywood. Go back and watch when Seth MacFarlane hosted the Oscars. He made jokes about it from the front of the room. And the next, category is for best woman actor in a film. And he said, and if she wins the award, she's not going to have to pretend that Harvey Weinstein is good looking ever again. They were joking about it. They were making jokes. This was a common knowledge in Hollywood. Was it a cult? No. But if you take one guy and give him so much power that he can do whatever he wants because he's over the top of somebody, it's not that different from a cult, right? And it was the cult of Hollywood. It was the cult of personality. People wanted so badly to be famous and to be stars that they will compromise themselves. It's a terrible thing. But the scumbags at the top that create that decision, if you want this role, you'll do this thing, he's where he needs to be, right? He is absolutely where he needs to be, but it's everywhere, man. The force is strong in Tommy. Thank you, Dixie. There were probably way more Danny victims than anyone knows. I happen to know that there are a lot more, absolutely, right now that they are aware of that we don't know because it wasn't in the trial. But there are a lot of victims from him going back a long time. He was not a good person. Shutting up and saying nothing is why the world has gone crazy. I believe that. I really do. How many times these days do you hear someone say, oh, well, don't talk about that. It makes people really uncomfortable, man. Don't talk about that. I got people that I consult with who are much better YouTubers than I am, right? And after this morning's thing, they said to me, hey, man, don't talk about GUNS. Do you know what that's going to do to the algorithm? They're going to bury you, man. You can't talk about weapons, handguns. You can't do that. Well, I'm not looking to go viral. I just want the truth out. And I want the people that I know to be looking for other places so that they can ask questions and everybody is in the know. That's all I'm looking for. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Sarah. Speaking up is absolutely a part of civil disobedience, especially right now. Because right now, for the first time in my lifetime, they're trying to pass bills to cut down on free speech. I got news for you. Hate speech is the only speech that needs to be protected. And they say we got to get rid of hate speech. Who decides what hate speech is? Maybe. I think that word, that's not offensive. Someone has to be the person to say, okay, what word's offensive? Even if it's a council. So we're going to be subject to whatever those people believe. If you want a system that's better than all of the others, then you got to err on the side of, right? You got to err that, people are going to say things that I don't want to hear. There are trolls out there today saying that I'm gay. There are trolls out there today that are saying I snorted drugs this morning, right? That I overdosed, that I didn't have a transient ischemic attack. I overdosed on the air. They just make videos about it. I ain't trying to shut them down. I believe in free speech. Say what you want. I'm of the firm belief that people will check out them. People will check out me. They think those are the solid people of the two of us. I don't want them on this channel anyway. Right? For real. But free speech is an important thing, and it's getting abridged. I'm going to keep yelling. I am. This is important. One of the only tools I have, people, is my voice. I do all right in a fist fight, but you get to a point where if you continue to do that, they're going to send you back to prison. I can't ever do that again. That phase of my life is over. I'm not a criminal. I got a voice and I got a platform. And this dude is a sexual sadist, right? I'm not going to let him get away with anything. I'm not going to let them treat this dude with any kind of special treatment. If that happens, I'm at least going to scream so that the world hears it. And I'm going to encourage all of you to share anything we do on this guy with as many people as you can. I should have put some Reaper on that salted fish. Khalib, you make a good point. That might have been a better idea because it was not particularly tasty. Strangest stuff in the world. You put it in your mouth, it changes taste and texture instantly. It was awful. Bach Buddy says, thought the Esoteric Atlanta interview was great. I agree with you, and I will give all of the credit to Bryce. She is an incredible interviewer. She lets you talk, but doesn't try to steer you back to, hey, tell me, how many banks did you rob? She was genuinely interested in what we're doing on the boat to try to make the earth a better place. And you know what? She's a content creator. She knows if she can put in the thumbnail, how many banks did Tommy Scoville rob? She's going to get a lot more views. And that's what most people would like to do. And I can go and do an interview where I talk about redemption or anything, and they can give it a title like Master Thief shows you how to steal anything. I think Bryce is a class act. I would go on that show every single time I get an opportunity to, and I hope to be working with the both of them forever. Really a great interview, really a fun time, just a great girl. And I really, like I said, I look forward to meeting her husband. He's big into yoga, and I would like to, when I get out to that part of the country, I would like to go and maybe do some yoga there. Oh, wow, Kathy, that's so cool. Kathy, that is so cool. She said, agreed, the interview with Esoteric Atlantic was so good. I have a list of friends and family I'm going to share it with. Yay! Yay! I think that is going to reach and help so many AHMOs. Thank you so much. That's awesome. You know what, people, when you share, that's organic growth. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Lori T, I promise you'll be safe. You won't get an angry agent. Just don't look at the ones that say for sale. Just hit images. So you just want to see pictures of them. Tommy, maybe it was just plain meant to be. You were meant to be a part of this. Kathy, believe me when I tell you that, yeah, I didn't have a choice. I absolutely promise you I didn't have a choice. You don't have to believe in the things that I believe, but it was a God thing. And someday I'll tell you the entire story from to finish. From the very first time that I reached out to AA Ron and all of the things that had to fall together for us to be having this conversation right now, it's absolutely bizarre. Why would he have those kind of guns? Well, really, isn't that the question? Now, if you're a collector, right? If you're someone that just collects guns, well, then you might want to have a semi-automatic assault rifle. I get that. If you want one, you should have one, right? You don't have a criminal record. There's nothing against owning one. You should have one, right? But why do you need 9 of them? Okay. And you have an opportunity to buy these things in a smaller chambered round, like the 223. But instead, you go for the 7.6, the big NATO round. You're firing. This is war stuff. And if you get an M16 and you're in the military, you're going into battle, your clip on an M16 ain't holding 100 rounds, right? It's not. Danny's is. Wow. I mean, that to me, that's just, yeah, crazy. Crazy. There's no reason for him to have those unless, no, look, I take that back. Perhaps this dude hunts big game like elephants or whatever that happen to be wearing flak jackets, or maybe they're in a light armored vehicle or something. I don't know. No, this is for blowing crap up and looking cool with your friends. There's a huge difference between what God said in the Bible and the way cults use the idea of disconnect for sure. I agree with you. Here's the thing, people, right? Here's the thing. If they're telling you to get away from people that you love from your past and telling you to separate from them, and those people have to disconnect because they're not part of us, and you hear the us versus them, you got to do the Scooby-Doo thing where you go, wouldn't disappear, and leave a puff of smoke. Run like hell, run like the wind. We don't know the answer to that, Kathy. We don't know the answer to that. My gut is that he turned over the one that was used. I believe that that is the case, but I don't know that for a fact. Ian, that is that list that I read you. If you read the one from this morning, I read what was turned over and I read what is missing. And there are, I'm not saying they're the nicest manufacturers or brands in the world. What I'm saying is they're firing NATO rounds, and a lot of these things have 50 or 100 round drums, right? Some on both sides. So he just had he had a lot of choppers. I mean, those look like the kind of stuff that people south of the border are collecting, to be honest. Danny Masterson's list. Yeah, I'd be curious to know what was in his safe other than his arsenal as well. That is definitely something that I think about. Hold on one second. See, now what's happening is I'm getting pictures sent into me of Ashton carrying specific weapons, and I'm going to be trying to match him up to Homeboy's list just for grins. Just for grins. Because I'll tell you what, I'm also not a big fan of people that get away with those kind of crimes. And I think that Ashton Kutcher's filthy in this. That's my opinion. My opinion is that the guy's filthy. Kathy Womack, I love it. Kathy says, life is full of wonderful surprises. The series of events that led me to AA runs and to hear from here definitely meant to be. See, I agree with that. I really do. I've met so many fantastic people through the SPTV audience. I am more blessed than anybody on YouTube. I just went over there to talk a little bit about prison, and I found honestly a whole other family of people that are just fantastic. You know, Liz immediately became like a sister. You know, I obviously I got great feelings for Vanessa, the girl that saves all those dogs, the woman that saves all of those dogs and has Elvis, just a great woman. And all really, truthfully, all of them, they're just a fantastic group of people. Oh no, this doesn't sound silly. This doesn't sound silly. I could rip off of the top of my head right now 9 people who have told me the same thing, easily, maybe more. No, there's a big crossover between addiction and capsaicin, and it makes a lot of sense. It releases endorphins. It gets your body really moving. You know, there's almost a drug-like quality to what it does. It makes a lot of sense. Kathy, we're not sure. He had stated that someone, a friend, had given him a gun in a parking lot. Happened to be a parking lot. It's very interesting. If you watch the show I did with AA Ron, he explains it better than I can in the next 60 seconds. Hey, squirrel. This cat has not come to work now. Ashton and Wilmer are both dirty in so many ways. I agree with that. I was saying that earlier, except I just can't seem to pronounce that cat's name correctly. Sandy, we are so grateful that you are here, and I mean that. To all of you that have come in from SPTV, I love the audience, I really do. And to those who have been with me for 2 years and who put up with the Scientology stuff, you've got to know that these people are family. You have to know these people are family the day they stepped on the boat, man. For real. I mean, if these people don't understand where we're coming from, and if we don't understand where they're coming from, it's because we're not putting a whole lot of effort into this. This stuff should be real obvious. I hate when people walk up and give me guns in parking lots. Kathy, normally I would say the same thing, unless it happens to be on my birthday, in which case just stroll on up and randomly give me a gun. No paperwork, no nothing. Here, have a gun. Oh, yeah, I heard doing the sauna when the ice bath was good for people who were self-harmers. So capsaicin and alcohol or addictive mindset. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, there's capsaicin is done wonders for so many people. I can't tell you. No joke. I could sit and I get letters every day from people, right? Over on the bus. You know, my brother is kind of the king of peppers, and that's why John eats the amount of peppers he does. It's painkiller for him, and it works beautifully. Hey, there you go. Come here. Look at that. There's a cat. Dixie says, so awesome, Tommy. Love seeing your friendship grow with the Jane Does and the ex Scientologist peeps. Witnessing the support you give each other isn't seen often these days. You know what? I tend to believe that, and it's humbling to me because I don't know what they've gone through. I don't. I mean, I understand what it feels like to have to leave everything you've ever known in your life behind because you realize that the life you're living is worthless. I mean, that I get, and in that I can empathize, but I really dig these people. Tommy, your prayers and thoughts are working. The hospital called me today and told me the $33,000 biopsy is going to be free. Can I get a hell yeah? Huh? Can we get a hell yeah? How good is that one, people? You want to talk to me about the power of positive thought and prayer? Talk to me about it. There you go, people. This is great too. The lifeboat and many SPTV channels are just different boats sailing on the same, often rough seas. That's damn right. And if we're all supporting each other, Dan Riley, glad you're here, man. Really glad you're here. Oh, Lady J, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm really sorry to hear that. All right, people, we ran a little bit over. Unlike AA Run, I do keep these to 1 hour. I am trying to maximize the algorithm as much as humanly possible. The long form, if I go over about 1 minute and 1 hour and 5 minutes, the algorithm doesn't push us the same way. When we get to be AA Run, we won't worry about it, and we'll rock 4 and 5 hours. In the meantime, we're building this puppy, and we're in a hurry, right? A lot of lives out there to save, people. We're running out of time, right? This stuff's killing people. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, right? You are on the lifeboat. We're going to be back tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. We are here on the fives every single day, people. 5 a.m., 5 p.m. That's on California time. See this here? This is a cat in a basket. There you go. Squirrel, say hello. No? You're a good girl. All right, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. You're a good kitty. Give me another one.